Hi guys, welcome back. So, if you're wondering how you go from law school to working in a big tech company like Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Google, or even Oracle, I'm assuming that you're going from a legal background into these big tech firms and jumping into a law tech career. But it's also possible to go from a software engineering role or IT background and into a law firm, because a lot of law firms don't require law school necessarily. You can take the route of paralegal, legal practitioner, sort of work as an intern first, and then you can get articles or write the bar after 5 or so years of experience. So it's not necessarily a requirement that you start off with law school, even though back in the day that was the requirement of going into law. So you really have three routes you can take. You can go via going directly through a legal internship in these big tech companies, or you can go through a law firm first, get experience there, and then transfer as legal in house counsel for one of the tech companies. Or the third route is to work for a law firm which has one of these big tech companies as their client. So those are the three major routes I'm well aware of. The third one is quite important because a lot of the big tech companies don't necessarily have their own dedicated legal department. Sometimes they just have a dedicated law firm they reach out to whenever they have legal issues to be resolved. So the third route is also quite important, and in fact, there's a fourth route as well. And that's going for a subsidiary of the big tech companies. And a lot of people don't talk about that option. That option is also a viable route of getting into law tech. So instead of going directly into Facebook, you want to go to some of the smaller companies that Facebook owns so that you get your foot into the door. Going directly into Facebook is going to be really, really challenging because you're competing against people with years and years of experience. So it's better to start off in one of the smaller companies that Facebook owns, for example, and then working your way up and gaining experience through that route. So the first route, like I was saying, which is going through legal internships. So what you can do is, and a lot of the times, sometimes they offer legal internships, summer internships, winter internships for law students. Sometimes computer science degrees are a plus. It's not a requirement for you to have a computer science degree in order to work as a legal intern in these big tech companies. So you can apply for summer or winter internships. And when you do get that internship, make sure that you take many different internships within the fintech space. So it's nice to have a wide variety of experiences, but make sure you specifically have a lot of experience through fintech or tech internships. So and don't do this in your final year. Start applying for internships after your second year of law school. That's when you should start applying for internships because it's really, really competitive. So that's the first route. You go through the internships, and a lot of the big firms, the big tech companies don't have internships like that, which is fine. What you can do is you can apply for internships within the smaller subsidiary companies. So maybe Facebook doesn't run an internship there. You can go through the smaller subsidiaries that are under the big tech companies. Now, there's also the issue of, if you're wondering, I've never seen these legal internships, sometimes apply for internships under the regulation and compliance departments. So they won't necessarily say this is the legal department, they'll say this is the regulation and compliance department. You should, in your CV, talk about a lot of your IT, just like what you admire about the field of law and IT, and it would be really, really helpful if you know a lot about IT. So knowing computer programming languages is a huge plus, right? So that's the first route, which is going through a legal internship through the big firms, and then the second route is going through a legal internship within the smaller subsidiaries of those companies. And then the third, more viable route, I think, which is undervalued, is go to a law firm which has the big tech companies as their client. So the big boys like to play with the big boys. The big companies like the FANG company group of tech companies I've mentioned tend to hire well established law firms that are 100, 200 years old. And so they love to just play together. So getting the kind of experience you need is by going through a law firm that has those companies as their clients. Now, they're not going to have all those companies as their clients, but they're going to have one. They're going to have Mercedes Benz as a client. They're going to have whatever tech company it is as a client. Now, the biggest issue with that is that getting into a big law firm is quite tough. And once you do get into a big law firm, you most likely won't get to work in the field you want to. A lot of fields like fintech and tech are in high demand. A lot of people want to work in those fields. So they'll tend to give internships and rotations to people who have a background in IT or maths or finance, right? So it's quite hard to go into a big firm and want to work in one specific field. They tend to look at your degree and say, did you do psychology with law? We're going to put you in public law. Did you do economics with law? We're going to put you in competition law. Did you do finance with the law? We're going to put you into banking and finance law. Did you do sociology and law? We're going to put you into the public law department. So that's how big law firms operate. And so you might not actually ever get to work in the specific tech field when you go directly into a law firm, hoping that you can work under the fintech department. But it's always good to just join the party whenever you aren't in that department. But if you know that they're working on a big tech company, to just ask to be in the group, ask to just tag along, or just join, even if it's outside your work hours. And you want to do a bit extra, ask to be in the room, ask to also be part of the group meetings, so you do get that experience. And then whenever there's an opening, they'll likely expand their team and involve you. So it's really, really tough. I know it's really, really tough getting into these big tech companies, especially if you're not a legal practitioner already or an attorney who's written the bar. It's really, really tough. And by the way, the bar is not enough. Getting your license is not enough. A lot of them, for legal counselship positions like Apple, Facebook, go onto LinkedIn. They're always advertising legal counsel. So that's working in-house for them. And they usually require 5 years of experience in a big law firm. That's why the route of going to the law firm is one of your best options, because the big tech companies, they prefer you as legal counsel with 5 years of experience working in a big law firm. They'd rather have you take that route, which is go work in a big law firm for 5 years and then apply to be legal counsel. So that's 5 years post the bar exam. Now, the issue I've realized is, like, for example, Total. I think Total is quite a popular company. Just for their legal assistant or legal internship position, they require 5 years experience post qualifications, post bar, post license. So you can understand how competitive it is to get into tech or even gas and mining, which is a whole nother story.